Look at the tape. It is flat. It is barely moving. Ethereum rose up 0.37%, the 58th percentile. Bitcoin rose up 0.29%, 56th percentile. VIXI edged 0.24%, the 31st percentile. DJT edged down 0.24%, a 32nd percentile. QQQ edged up 0.1%, 43rd percentile. The numbers do not care how loud you type them. They just print. But look at the timing of the noise he is making. Look at the timing. He starts with a deluge of endorsements. It is a wall of names, a fortress of loyalty. Catalina Loft for Florida's 19th. Claudia Tenney for New York's 24th. Nick Langworthy for New York's 23rd. Peter Oberacker for New York's 19th. Mike Lawler for New York's 17th. Nicole Maliotakis for New York's 11th. Andrew Garbarino for New York's 2nd. Nick LaLota for New York's 1st. Bruce Blakeman for Governor of New York. Kaylee Buller for New York's 22nd. He uses the same liturgy for every single one. Complete and total endorsement. SE will never let you down. Or HE will never let you down. It is a chant. A repetitive rhythmic assertion of control. He is building a wall of names to show that the movement is vast. That it is everywhere. From Florida to the tip of Long Island. But then he pivots. He stops chanting and starts claiming. He talks about a B.I.G. Weeman at the United States Court of International Trade. He calls it a victory over what he terms a despicable loophole, the so-called de minimis exemption. He says that for years, foreign shippers could send packages worth up to $800 into the country duty-free. No tariff, no scrutiny. He calls it a pipeline for fentanyl traffickers and counterfeiters. He says the numbers were staggering. In 2024 alone, he puts the cost of foregone tariff revenue at $10.8 billion. He claims that with the stroke of his pen, he closed it. He says the importers sued, and today they lost. The court ruled he had the legal authority. He frames this as a triumph of law enforcement and trade. America is now safer, he writes. Our workers are better protected. It is a powerful story, a story of strength, of a leader who can close doors to keep the bad guys out and the money in. He says the billions recovered will help pay for the military and tax relief. It is a narrative of restoration. But look at what he shares right after that claim of victory. Look at the links. He amplifies a cluster of reports about Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. The headlines are sharp. Send Sheldon. White House hit with ethics complaint for backing laws that benefited his wife's environmental group. Fact calls for investigation into Sen White House for conflict of interest in funding wife S. Ocean Sea. Ethics watchdog accuses Dem Sen of ethics violation over 7M payment to wife's nonprofit. Dem Senator's dark money corruption hypocrisy, revealed ethics complaint expert says. He is pointing a finger. He is highlighting hypocrisy. He is showing that while he fights for America's borders and treasury, his opponent is allegedly stealing from the public trust. And then there is the image. The black and white photo of Melania Trump, Donald Trump, a blonde woman in a black dress, and a man in a light checkered suit. He shares it with a message to Dan Scavino. You're the greatest. So happy and proud of you. It is a moment of personal loyalty, of camaraderie. It contrasts sharply with the cold, hard legalism of the court victory he claims, and the accusatory tone of the ethics complaints he shares. So what do we have? We have a man claiming total control. He endorses a who knows how much candidates to show his reach. He claims a legal victory to close $1 billion loophole. He shares ethics complaints to undermine a rival. And he posts a photo of loyalty to show his heart. It is a disjointed set of signals. The tape does not reflect this chaos. DJT edged down 0.24%, 32nd percentile. The market is not buying the narrative with full force. It is measuring the distance between the words and the reality. He talks about stopping migrant crime. He talks about defunding the police being the goal of his opponents. He talks about protecting the Second Amendment. These are his pillars. But the ethics complaints he shares suggest that the corruption he fights is not just out there in the shadows. It is in the halls of power. He wants us to believe he is the only one who can clean it up. He closes the de minimis loophole to save billions. He highlights a 70M payment to a wife's nonprofit to show how easy it is to steal. The irony is thick. He claims moral authority through legal victory and exposure of other sins. But look at the timing again. He posts the endorsements. He posts the court win. He shares the ethics links. All in one day. All to create a picture of relentless action. Of a leader who is always fighting, always winning, always exposing. But the tape tells a different story. The market is flat. It is waiting. It knows that words are cheap. That endorsements are many but votes are few. That court victories can be appealed. That ethics complaints are often just political theater. He says the importer's lost. He says he has the authority. But the market does not care about his authority. It cares about the bottom line. And the bottom line is that he is trying to sell us a story of victory in a world that is not yet convinced. The 800 threshold he mentions is small, but the $10.8 billion he claims are huge. The 7M figure in the ethics complaint is precise, but its impact is uncertain. He wants us to focus on the numbers he controls, but we should focus on the silence of the market. The silence is loud. He ends with Bruce Blakeman. Bruce will make IT great again and will never let wow down. It is a promise. A big one. But can any man keep every promise? Can any system withstand the weight of his claims? He closes loopholes. He exposes corruption. He endorses loyalists. He posts photos of friends. It is a lot to carry. And the tape shows that the market is not carrying it with him. It is watching. It is waiting. It knows that hype is a rendering error. The tape has no soaring and no crashing. Only prints, and today, the print is quiet, suspiciously quiet. That's the show. We're on Spotify and YouTube. If this earned it, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And housekeeping. The machine that writes this gets tuned constantly for cleaner news. The numbers are real, the jokes are not. One more thing, this whole station runs on one garage computer, and if the tape ever earned you a coffee, there's a tip jar at INFORMANT.Reiners.io. It keeps the phone line on.